Let me tell you something, and don't say I didn't warn you. When you spend your whole life thinking you know what home feels like, there's nothing quite like rolling up to your cabin in the mountains expecting peace, and finding the kind of scene that makes your gut drop and your fists clench. I'm talking crime tape vibes, but with way more paperwork and, God help me, vinyl banners that screamed in hazard orange, danger, abandoned structure, property under review. That's not how you want to start your weekend, trust me. So there I was, idling in my old pickup, staring at these cheap, aggressive signs zip-tied to my gate, staked in the gravel, one plastered right on my cabin's front door like a scarlet letter for the whole damn valley to see. This was my 6-acre slice of Colorado, my sanctuary. I'd been gone for 8 weeks working a contract in Arizona, not my first time leaving the place, but definitely the first time I came back to find the landscape hijacked by the Deerwood Ridge HOA. Now let me be clear. My land predates that HOA by 40 years. There's a family trust, permanent servitude, everything legal and on record. So as far as I'm concerned, their jurisdiction ends where my pine trees begin. First thing I did was check the door. Still locked, deadbolt untouched. Good. Then I looked up and my main security camera was gone. Just a sad little bracket hanging under the eave. Pulled out my phone, nothing. The whole system wiped offline. Whoever came by wasn't some kid pulling a prank. They were organized. Methodical. The private property and armed monitoring signs I'd put up? Yanked clean out of the ground. The metal posts were bent, like someone took a crowbar to them for fun. I circled the property, boots crunching in the gravel, and spotted a pile of fresh survey markers, bright pink ribbons and everything. Unauthorized, brand new, right on the North Ridge. I felt a slow, familiar anger building. The kind you only get when you realize someone's messing with what's yours. And then I saw it. A laminated HOA notice, stamped and signed by someone named Karen Stamford, acting president. This structure is deemed unsafe and will be subject to removal under Article 9, Section 5. Deadline, September 15th. I'd never even heard of Karen Stamford. Now maybe you think I'm overreacting, but listen, my property was never part of their little suburban kingdom, and they all knew it. But here they were trying to muscle in, rewrite the rules, and pretend I just disappeared. That's when you know you're up against something more than a mistake. It's a setup. And I don't take kindly to setups. First thing I did was document everything. Photos, timestamps, geotags, the whole shebang. I checked the utility shed, flipped the breaker, and sure enough, the control panel flickered on with a password prompt that wasn't mine. Someone had reset my satellite router. I didn't waste my time calling the HOA. I called the sheriff. Deputy Roston rolled up about 40 minutes later. Good guy, used to come around back when I was renovating the cabin. He took one look at the signs, shook his head and started snapping photos. "You're not part of Deerwood Ridge," he said. "Never have been," I told him. He started muttering about trespass and tampering, told me I'd need to talk to the county clerk and my lawyer. "This stinks like attempted property reassignment," he said. "Yeah, you don't say." But before lawyering up, I went to see my nearest neighbor, Old Man Jerry, half a mile down the ridge. He's a telescope on the porch, beer in hand kind of guy, and he'd seen it all. "Bunch of clipboard people came by 2 weeks ago," he grumbled. "Lady in designer boots barking orders. Said they were evaluating dangerous structures." That was Karen, all right. He said they had a deputy with them too, and they acted like the land was already theirs. I thanked him, promised to keep him updated, then went back to the cabin and started backing up every scrap of digital record I could find. Next day I marched straight into the county seat, coffee in one hand, folder of documents in the other, jaw set like a trap. At the records desk, a tired-looking guy named Miguel started frowning the moment he pulled up my parcel number. "There's a weird flag here," he said, tapping the monitor. "Temporary status override filed 2 weeks ago. Expired in 48 hours, but it triggered a review note. Says, community jurisdiction. Pending verification of abandonment claim." I could feel my blood pressure climbing. "Who filed it?" I asked. He showed me a digital signature, J. Reynolds. Turns out, that's Karen's brother-in-law, a junior clerk who had no business touching my records. "Doesn't usually file lane status changes without approval," Miguel muttered. Now, Karen had let it slip once her brother-in-law was helpful in permitting. I guess now I knew what that meant. I took every printed record, receipt, and timestamp I could get and called my lawyer Sheila Kent. Ex-military rural land specialist, an absolute pitbull when it came to property law. They filed under Rule 12b, she said after looking over the documents. Statute from the 80s. Lets community groups request temporary custodianship of land for public safety if it's abandoned or tax delinquent. You paid your taxes. 6 months ago. They filed a fake abandonment claim. Fishing expedition. She saw the photos: vandalism, impersonation of authority, digital intrusion, trespass. We can make a case, but I'll need more. We filed a formal complaint with the county. Cease and desist letters to the HOA. I wasn't feeling relief, not yet, just that tight humming anger. Back at the cabin, I installed new trail cams, battery backup sensors. If they came back, I'd have footage. Later that night, I checked my email. A scanned memo, sent from an anonymous Gmail. Internal HOA document. Structure located at parcel 684C appears unmaintained and unoccupied for over 60 days. Recommend preemptive action. Temporary signage, abandonment claim, hire contractor for demolition feasibility. Signed, Karen Stanford. They'd already hired a demo contractor. Set a date, September 25th. They were serious. Every shadow outside looked like headlights. At 3 a.m. I was sitting in the kitchen watching live feeds, double-checking locks. This wasn't just trespassing. This was attempted theft, slow, legalistic, but theft just the same. By morning, I'd hired a private investigator, Dean Hayes, ex-Navy, insurance fraud specialist, and rumored to have a sixth sense for sniffing out HOA scams. Dean was the kind of guy who could walk into a county office and walk out with half the staff's secrets. He dug through surveillance backups, cross-referenced digital signatures, and found the smoking gun. Reynolds, the junior clerk, had used an admin override to flag not just my land, but 3 other parcels adjacent to Deerwood Ridge, always when the owners were away. Here's the kicker: the demo company? Owned by Karen's husband. The whole thing was a closed loop. They were planning to demolish my home and cash in, calling it community beautification. Dean even found an email thread from a whistleblower on the HOA board. Karen pushing for Phase 1 cleanup, saying the legal risk is manageable. I sent everything to Sheila and we went straight to court. Emergency injunction granted. Suddenly, Karen was on defense, but she didn't back down. Next morning, 2 SUVs and a white van labeled Fire Risk Inspection Unit rolled up. Karen herself was there, smug as a cat. They claimed there were hazardous materials, fire code violations, pure intimidation. I had permits, documents, and a fresh court order. They retreated, muttering about public safety, but I caught the deputy whispering, "He has cameras and a goddamn lawyer." Dean kept digging. Karen's family had doctored parcel maps, forged letters, created fake community oversight committees to get around court orders. They used county letterheads and official seals copied from PDFs. My mailbox got ripped out, security cams smashed. I wasn't just dealing with busybodies, I was up against a little mafia, all hidden behind clipboards and good of the community talk. But I had something Karen didn't: receipts, the truth, and a stubborn streak a mile wide. I uploaded everything: emails, video, forged maps, the works, to Reddit. Title: My cabin was declared abandoned by an HOA I don't belong to. It went viral. News stations called. A non-profit land rights group jumped in. The DA's office opened a criminal investigation after Dean's forensic guy proved the pink emergency notices used a fake county seal. The paper trail all pointed back to Karen, her family, and a handful of HOA cronies who'd run the same scam on at least 4 other landowners. It snowballed. Search warrants, subpoenas, county server logs showing unauthorized edits by Karen's son-in-law at land management. The whole family tree was rotten. And when the heat finally landed, all their bluster vanished. Emails, memos, whistleblower statements, it all came out. A development scheme, promising shares in future projects to anyone willing to help transfer ownership. My cabin was just the test case. Court wasn't anything like the movies. Just ugly carpet, buzzing lights, and every eye in the place locked on Karen. She tried to bluff, saying she was protecting the community, that unloved land deserved someone to care for it. I watched the jury's faces. Nobody was buying it. The prosecution had emails, documents, even the fake notarized letter signed by Karen's dead father-in-law. She looked like she wanted to melt into the floor. Guilty. On every count: fraud, conspiracy, impersonation of authority, racketeering. The HOA dissolved. Karen got 17 years, 10 inside, 7 suspended, restitution ordered. Her relatives barred from public office, their assets seized. The judge even quoted coercive intimidation. I was awarded damages, but what I cared about most was the line drawn in the sand: precedent, new protections for rural owners. No more quiet land grabs. Now, the county had to contact owners before labeling any property abandoned. I rebuilt the fence, new cameras, new mailbox, this time with a steel plate. Put up a brass plaque at the drive. Private land not subject to HOA. Trespassers will be prosecuted. Denise Caldwell, the journalist who helped blow the story up, wrote a follow-up. The cabin that stood its ground. I got emails from all over the country, folks fighting their own HOA nightmares, people just grateful to know someone stood up. Funny thing is, I never wanted to be a hero, just left alone on my land, same as my grandfather, same as the folks who built this place nearly a century ago. But here's the truth. When people in power start drawing lines on maps that don't belong to them, it only takes one stubborn bastard with good boots and better paperwork to drag it all into the daylight. So tell me, if someone tried to steal your land with a fake letter and a smile, would you fight back? Or just let them redefine what home means? Drop your story or your opinion below, and let's hear what justice really means to you.